Okay, hello. Welcome to my little tutorial on how to paint a squirrel. No, just kidding. It's not a tutorial on how to paint a squirrel, but rather a documentation of me painting one of my little almost weekly commissions. And that is painting those electric boxes. This one right here, I had already primed that 2 days ago, and now I get to paint it. Okay, I've got my trusted little dot grid stencil here to speed up the whole process. Yeah, I made this stencil about a year ago, I think. Maybe a little more than a year. Do you need that? Nope, not at all. You can totally spray paint or paint a box that size without anything like that. But I feel like I want to get done with those jobs as fast and as efficient as possible. So this for me was a pretty good solution to become more efficient. And all it does pretty much is it gives me this dot grid, which has dots every 5 centimeters. So all it does, it helps me trace my reference photo onto the box. And the photos I use as reference photos for my paintings on these specific commissions, they are usually royalty-free stock photos. You can get them for cheap or for free online, and you don't have to worry about hurting any like copyrights or whatever. I start with the background, get done with it. This is just a blurry kind of bokeh photo look or whatever. Super simple, yet very powerful visually. So I like to do those whenever possible. And then eventually I get to start painting the actual subject. I start with the tree branch here where the squirrel is sitting on. And fun fact, I don't use any brown in this branch, I believe, because tree barks actually have a lot of green in them. And whenever you want to paint subjects with kind of sharp edges, you should angle the can inwards. So you end up with a sharp edge separating the subject from the background. I'm just trying to get a rough color blocking in. The tree branch will get a lot more texture later on, so I'm not worrying about it too much and continue painting the squirrel. I do a few darker strokes at the back and the arm of the squirrel just to give it some contrast, especially at the back. Give it some contrast to the background, which is very light. And the squirrel fur is also pretty light, so I kind of wanted to give it just a little bit of dark contrast. Same here for the tail. At the top I use a green to give it some contrast, because I don't want to have it look too cartoony with all the black outlines. So I'm trying to blend those things together a little bit. I'm using McLam caps here, and as you can see, this one is a little bit clogged, and the can is almost empty. You can hear that, and this is perfect if you want to paint like thinner lines. And if you don't mind the little splatters there, which I don't mind, pretty good for those instances. Okay, now the typical orange. I don't even know which exact orange tone I'm using here. I've brought quite a few and I'm blending them together until it kind of feels right. You just have to feel things out, especially if you paint photorealistically. I bring a lot of paint. And as you can see there on the lower part, I'm not using gray or anything. I'm using actually a very light blue for the shadow parts in the white fur, which makes it look a lot more realistic. Now back to the tail. As I'm using the orange, I'm going to start with a very light orange for the outside, basically, where the sunlight hits from the back and shines through a little bit. And the thicker the fur gets, the darker the orange usually gets there too. There's a little bit of a lighter orange even. I think that's white orange. So that part of the tail down here is quite thick, so I painted even darker. This is orange brown, I believe. Oh. Yeah, bless you, son. Now, on to using the tiny pink stencil cap. I rarely do that. I feel like the lines aren't super sharp. I don't really love the look of it, but sometimes it comes in handy. I'm using it to fill in the eye here, but I know I'll be going in with brushes in a bit. Little note on brushes, you don't have to use them to make these paintings. You can totally get away with just using the spray can, using cardboard to get sharp edges or whatnot. But I feel like if you paint stuff that's so tiny, it's pretty useful to use brushes to get a really good structure for the fur, for example, and also for the eye later on. And whatever makes the painting better works. But yeah, like I said, you could totally get away with it. Don't use brushes. Keep it kind of rough and unrefined. That's totally fine too. So I kind of mixed those colors here a little bit. This is like a brownish color mixed with a blue. Those spray paints, they're not made to use with brushes. They're gonna destroy your brushes. So if you want to do that, you either have to clean them a lot, or you should use super cheap ones, which I do. I use the cheapest brushes I can get, and I'm gonna throw them away when I'm done. So now I'm going in with Manila or Manila Light, which is like a greenish gray. Works perfectly fine for shadows. Actually a pretty diverse color you can use for a lot of things. seems like I didn't record painting the eye and the details with the light blue and the white, but this is it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.